Welcome to the Viral Solutions podcast. Today's topic is 5 tips for developing a social media strategy here in 2021. 2020, chaos? Well, it's largely been left behind, at least we all hope, right? And you need to strategize about this new year, even though we're a few weeks into it. 2020 wasn't typical, we also hope. It provided a lot of us with some information, though, that it's going to help us make better informed decisions this year and further. And probably the greatest lesson was how the influence of social media has increased during the pandemic. Developing a social media strategy has changed as the audience has increased, and as always in business, you need to adapt or risk falling behind your competitors. Social media marketing requires a new, more agile outlook to work effectively. The landscape of social media is ever shifting, and marketers must shift with current trends to stay relevant. But although the medium has changed, the questions that drive a marketing strategy have not. For example, how do you keep your target demographic engaged? That's a question you always ask yourself. How do you market appropriate content in such a polarized political climate? That's always there. How you answer those questions can greatly influence how successful you'll be. For some time, social media has been the new marketing frontier, but it's just the newest marketing tactic. Half the world's population is on social media, so you need to work on developing a social media strategy that gives you an advantage over your competitors, and that's always true in marketing. Social media can be used not just for marketing, but for attracting new customers, creating brand awareness, increasing sales. However, developing the right social media strategy can be tough without guidelines to help you navigate the waters. Here's some best practices for developing a social media strategy in 2021. Number 1, you want to use social media to create trust in your brand. Traditional marketing still has a place, but it's not as effective as modern digital marketing and social media. We've all grown up on traditional advertising, and YouTube is full of videos describing how advertising can lie to you. When 75% of customers begin interacting with a marketing campaign believing it's lying, how can you market your brand? The answer is by using social media to make the customer feel like they have a relationship with your brand, and relationships are full of trust. Maybe your brand always answers with wisecracks on Twitter, or maybe you thank anyone who tags you for their time. These gestures endear you to the customer and make them feel connected to your brand. Once consumers feel connected to you, it's a lot easier to convince them that you tell the truth. When you generate brand loyalty from your consumers, your marketing efforts no longer come across as sales, but as advice. Number 2, User-generated content should be included. Whether it's a blog, a review, a recipe, or a story, consumers trust other consumers more than they trust your corporate speak. It's not a mistake that Amazon includes so many reviews with every product they sell. The description is there to sit in the back of the customer's mind. In all likelihood, the customer barely reads the description because they know they can't trust corporate speak in the first place. However, they look at other consumer reviews as being more trustworthy. Comparing different features through reviews is often used more than the description of the product provided by the company or the brand. User-generated content, that's where you really want to start marketing because that's the copy the consumer believes. Number 3, tell a story about your brand. Social media stories. If you haven't read about social media stories, just search for that on viralsolutions.net. Social media stories are a great way to make people feel connected to your brand. They're images and videos showing the inside truths of your company. For example, a typical day for Bill from shipping or 24 hours in the shoes of the CEO. These stories not only tell a narrative about what is going on around them, but also tell the consumer what your company stands for and what it believes. Consumers may assume that the company's advertising is false, but we're all hardwired to believe narratives are true. Sharing stories as a post about your business. Yep, that makes people care about your employees and your ethics. And then they tell them or another potential customer how your product or service can help solve your problem. At that point, the consumer is invested instead of cynical. Number 4, live stream content directly from your business. Live videos are the most watched content on social media. Take that knowledge and use it to market your brand. It's all about making a connection with your customer. Make them feel like they're a fly on the wall in your company and they know where you stand, what you're about, and what you do. Live stream a Q&A session with a department manager or a busy meeting where people are brainstorming ideas. Anything so the consumer doesn't feel they're being marketed at, but are being included and entertained. While they enjoy the strange sight of you live streaming your meeting, you're also building a connection with them, making them trust you, and they feel more a part of who you are. 5, get involved with social activity. Increasing studies show that consumers want their brands to stand for something, even if it's not something in which they personally believe. A recent study showed that 56% of consumers did not trust a brand that was unwilling to take a firm stand on a social issue. Using social media to talk about your organization's charities that you support and the socially responsible actions your company takes informs the consumer about who you are. You want your consumer to forget for a while that you're trying to sell them something with a campaign and get caught up in your social activism. The closer you can tie it to your product, the better. If you can tie your product to a social need and help fill that need anytime that issue is mentioned, people will think of you. Here's our takeaway. In this year, 2021, it's going to be an interesting one for marketing. For some, it'll be a reset of their brand. Others will double down and stand even more firmly on customer expectations. The only thing to be said absolutely is your brand has to be agile, flexible, or it could be disastrous. So review all of these tips and get to work on developing a social media strategy that wins. And make sure you've covered all your bases and you're following social media best practices by getting your social media toolkit at viralsolutions.net. At Viral Solutions, we're committed to seeing you succeed. We exist, and it's our sole goal to double your sales. And at the viralsolutions.net blog and this web podcast, you can stay up to speed in the ever-changing world of marketing. Make it a great day. We hope to see you back here again on the Viral Solutions podcast.